The South Korean passport has ranked joint third in the annual Henley Passport Index for visa-free access to 192 countries, alongside Finland, France, Germany, Italy, and Spain.
올해 헨리 여권지수 순위에서 한국 여권은 총 192개국을 대상으로 무비자 입국이 가능해 핀란드, 프랑스, 독일, 이탈리아, 스페인과 나란히 공동 3위를 차지했습니다.
Yeah, this is a famous annual ranking or index that is published every year, and Korea typically ranks near the highest annually. This year, Korea came in third, as the headline suggests. 192 countries. Number one was Singapore. Number two was Japan, followed by South Korea, along with these other countries.
So with the South Korean passport, you can go to 192 countries without a visa.
A visa. And I'm assuming these are tourist visas for short-term
Right,
stays,
of course.
right? Yes.
Yep. I visited a couple of countries over the years exactly doing that. You know, I stayed in the US a couple of years ago for 3 months visa-free because that's the maximum amount of time you can stay in the US with a South Korean passport.
Right.
But yeah, South Korea, the passport allows you to go to 192 countries without a visa.
Yeah.
A Singaporean passport, I believe, allows you to go to 195 countries.
Yep, in Japan, 193. So one country more than Korea, I suppose. But, you know, I don't know what this index really tells you about. It's unless you're a sort of a passport or visa collector and you want to travel to every country in the world, I suppose it's important in that way. But it does show you that Korean tourists they go everywhere. And I'm not sure if this includes China, because China recently allowed South Koreans to come in visa-free. And there's been an influx, especially to places like Shanghai, where South Koreans are visiting there now.
그래요. 그래서 가장 파워풀한 여권 순위 이렇게 매해 나오게 되는데 이 뭐 파워풀하다라는 것이 여기서는 어떤 의미냐면은 이 여권이 있으면 몇 개국을 무비자로 입국을 할 수 있느냐 이걸 가지고 따지는 거죠. 자, 우리나라는 192개국을 이제 한국 여권이 있으면은 갈 수 있습니다. Visa-free access.
Yeah, so if you have access to something, it's a ways or a means of entering somewhere or approaching something. So, and if it's visa-free, if something's free of something, it's not subject to something, or it's free of that. So you don't need a visa. A traveler can enter a country without a visa, provided that they have a valid passport, of course. So,
of course.
you know, if something's smoke-free, this is a smoke-free building. You could say this gum is sugar-free, or duty-free sales,
free.
right? Yes.
그러네요. 자, 무언가가 없다라는 뜻으로 영어에서는 단어 -free 이렇게 씁니다. duty free라는 것은 이 관세가 붙지 않는다. 그래서 우리가 면세라고 얘기를 하는 거죠. 그다음에는 이제 무가당 음료는 설탕이 없다. 영어로 sugar free 이렇게 표현을 하고요. 자, visa free면은 이제 비자가 없이 access. 이거는 접근이지만 무비자로 입국이 가능하다 이런 뜻이죠.
And there's certain words that you actually don't need a hyphen. Words, for instance, like carefree. Like I live a carefree life.
Yeah, that's
I have no worries in the world. Right?
그러네요. 나는 걱정 없이 살아. I live a carefree life. 이럴 때는 하이픈 없이 그냥 carefree 한 단어로 쓰네요.
I think you can omit that. Yes.
맞습니다. 네. 그리고 선생님도 빨리 cold free, flu free 한 그런 건강 회복하시길 바라겠습니다. 자, 그다음에 alongside
Yeah, so in this headline, we talked about how Korea was tied for third with these other countries alongside, meaning parallel to or equal with, together with these other countries.
그렇죠. 무엇과 함께 어깨를 나란히 한다라는 뜻이 있어요. alongside. 그래서 한국이 지금 여권 파워 3위국인데 이 3위가 한 나라만 있는 게 아니고요. 공동 3위로 한국, 핀란드, 프랑스, 독일, 이탈리아, 스페인 다 3위였거든요. 똑같이 192개국을 여권으로 무비자 입국할 수 있는 건데 그래서 alongside가 여기서 쓰였고 또 다른 표현은 joint third가 여기 나오거든요. 이게 공동 3위라는 뜻이 되겠습니다. You could also say Korea tied in third.
Tied for third, yes.
With these other countries. 이렇게 표현할 수도 있어요. All right, let me read the headline again. Here it is. The South Korean passport has ranked joint third in the annual Henley Passport Index for visa-free access to 192 countries, alongside Finland, France, Germany, Italy, and Spain. Let's move on to the next headline.
Exports of kimchi in 2024 increased 6.9% from a year earlier to hit a record high, driven by growing global popularity of Korean cuisine, according to government data.
정부 자료에 따르면 작년 우리나라 김치 수출량은 해외에서 커지고 있는 한식 인기에 힘입어 1년 전보다 6.9% 증가해 역대 최대치를 기록한 것으로 나타났습니다.
Yeah, so according to data from the Ministry of Agriculture here in South Korea, 47,100 tons of kimchi were exported last year. And there's been a steady rise since 2022, 2023. It's been going up increasingly. In monetary figures, that value was $163.6 million worth of kimchi last year. That's up 5.2% on year.
Wow. A lot of influencers on social media.
Yeah.
They show people how to make kimchi, and it's now become, I guess, not as strange, but at first, to see like a sort of Caucasian person, making kimchi was, to me, very, very odd. But now they do it a lot.
I almost feel ashamed that I've never made kimchi before, but I see all these influencers doing it very easily. They make it, everything on social media, they make it look very easy, right?
Do,
But in any case, 95 countries, in fact, were exported to. Japan being the number one destination for Korean kimchi, followed by the U.S. And interestingly, in third was the Netherlands. Say what you will about that.
Okay.
Now, my understanding also is that Korea also imports a lot of kimchi as well from China.
Okay.
So, and of course, cost is a big factor in that as well.
그래요. 수출량이 6.9% 늘었습니다. 1년 전에 비해서 그랬다라는 거고요. 이건 2024년 데이터인데 수출액으로 보면은 1억 6천만 달러 정도를 기록했다고 합니다. 인기가 많아요. 인기.
Yeah.
Popularity.
Popularity, yeah, of course. It means it's accepted or recognized by the general public. It has a reputation of being popular, being the popular kid in class or school, right? Pop music. Pop, of course, is short for popularity.
Exactly.
Or
맞아요.
popular, yeah.
그래서 이 팝 음악, K-팝에서 그 팝이 사실은 popular의 줄임말이에요. 인기 많은 곡이라는 뜻이겠죠. 그다음에는 그 위키드 보셨는지 잘 모르겠지만
Nope.
거기 위키드 뮤지컬에 굉장히 유명한 노래 중에 Popular라는 노래가 있어요. 바로 지금 얘기했던 학생들이 사실 인기 많으면 좋잖아요. 그런 내용을 다루고 있습니다.
Okay.
네,
No, that movie is very popular these days.
The movie
yeah.
is very popular, and the song Popular is also very popular. popular하다 그러면 이제 인기 많은 이란 뜻인데 명사로는 popularity. What about cuisine?
Yeah, cuisine is just a fancy way to say food. You can almost interchange it, use it interchangeably. So instead of saying Korean food, you could say Korean cuisine, Mexican cuisine, for example.
Yep.
But you wouldn't say, let's go eat some, let's go have some good cuisine. We wouldn't say it in that case, though, right?
It sounds very formal.
It sounds very formal. I'm guessing it probably has French origins maybe, but cuisine it means food, but you use it when you're talking about the food as a category in general.
그렇죠. cuisine이 요리라는 뜻이라서 food랑 뜻은 똑같지만 느낌이 조금 더 공식적인 격식을 차린 느낌 아니면은 좀 우아한 느낌 이런 느낌이 있어요.
I think in Korean it's sort of similar. The difference between 음식 and 요리 would be sort of that difference, no?
맞아요. 그런 느낌도 좀 있는 것 같아요. 우리말로도. 자, cuisine 스펠링은 C-U-I-S-I-N-E. 다시 읽어보겠습니다. Exports of kimchi in 2024 increased 6.9% from a year earlier to hit a record high, driven by growing global popularity of Korean cuisine, according to government data.
Wildfires have ravaged parts of Los Angeles, California, with at least 16 people dead, thousands of homes, businesses, schools, and churches leveled, and more than 150,000 people under evacuation orders.
미국 캘리포니아주 로스앤젤레스 일부 지역에서 산불 피해가 계속되고 있는 가운데 지금까지 최소 16명의 사망자가 발생했고 수천 채의 주택과 기업, 학교, 교회가 무너졌으며 15만 명 이상의 주민들에게 대피 명령이 내려졌습니다. Wow, this is a very serious situation here.
Yeah, and this is a story that really hits home for me as well. My sister lives in Los Angeles. I still have many friends that live there, and a couple of them have had to evacuate from their homes because this is turning out to be the deadliest sort of wildfire, I'd say monetarily, just in terms of the yardage and the amount of destruction that these blazes have occurred. So the two main ones, there's the Palisades fire, which is along sort of the coastline in the city of Pacific Palisades, coming down, I believe Brentwood is also getting a little bit of it in Santa Monica, and also a little more to the east, inland more, you have the Eaton fire. And currently, the Eaton fire is about 15% contained, nearly 14,000 acres, which is about 56.6 square kilometers, about 20 times the size of Yeouido has been consumed. Just this one fire. And then over in the Pacific Palisades, it's 11% contained. 23,000 acres have been burned, more than 5,000 structures. And this is getting a lot of headline, not just for the disaster itself. Los Angeles is very prone, and just California in general is very prone to wildfires. It has a very dry climate.
Yeah.
And I think it was the perfect combination of the winds, the dry climate, and say what you will. It's still too early to talk about the cause, I think, because they're still trying to battle this. But a lot of people have really lost their homes, and it's really sad.
It is indeed. 자, 좀 전에 그 여의도의 20배 정도 면적이 지금 이 산불 피해를 입었다라고 말씀하셨는데요. 그 서울 면적이 4분의 1 정도입니다. 상당히 큰 면적이 지금 이렇게 피해를 입은 상태인데 끝난 게 아니고요. LA 산불이 계속해서 확산을 하고 있습니다.
Yep.
그리고 또 앞서서 나한테도 좀 와닿는 스토리다. 나랑도 관련이 있는 스토리다 하시면서 쓰셨던 영어 표현 It hits home.
Yeah.
이 표현을 여러분도 한번 활용을 해보시면 좋을 것 같은데 나한테도 좀 와닿는 뭔가 나랑 관련이 있을 때 쓰는 표현인 거죠.
Right. I have a personal connection to it.
그렇습니다. It hits home. All right. Let's have a look at the word ravage.
Yeah, so if something ravages something, it wreaks havoc on it. It affects it destructively.
Yeah.
So when something's destroyed, and typically with fires, we use this verb. So the fire's ravaged through a town, through a city,
Yeah.
for example.
R-A-V-A-G-E, 황폐하게 만들다. And to level.
Yeah, normally to level means to create even with the ground, perhaps. But in this case, we're talking about how buildings are leveled. Similar to ravage, that means they're destroyed,
Yeah.
demolished, wrecked.
맞아요. demolished하고 wrecked라는 표현도 다 비슷한 건데 역시 이제 황폐하게 만들었다는 뉘앙스고요. level이라는 거는 사실 평평하게 만들다라는 의미가 있기 때문에 건물이 무너졌다라는 의미로 보실 수 있습니다. 건물이 평평하다는 게 그 수평을 말하는 게 아니고요.
Right.
원래는 높게 치솟아 올라야 되는 것이 납작해졌다 의미거든요. 그래서 무너졌다 이런 의미입니다.
You can use it in terms of when you're doing construction, or if you're a camera person, when you have your tripod, you need to level it
Yeah.
to make sure it's parallel to the ground here. But in this case, it's a different meaning. And this story really hits home for Koreans as well, because there's a big Korean population,
Yeah.
of course, in Southern California.
Sure.
Reports say that former major leaguer Park Chan-ho, his house was also affected by these fires as well. His house was in the Pacific Palisades, I believe. As with many other celebrities live in this area.
그래요. 아이고. 자, 다시 한번 제가 읽어보겠습니다. Wildfires have ravaged parts of Los Angeles, California, with at least 16 people dead, thousands of homes, businesses, schools, and churches leveled, and more than 150,000 people under evacuation orders. Let's move on to the next headline.
The World Meteorological Organization has confirmed that 2024 was the warmest year on record, based on 6 international data sets, with the past 10 years all ranking in the top 10 in an unprecedented streak of record-breaking temperatures.
세계 기상기구는 6개 기상 관측기구로부터 받은 관측 자료를 토대로 2024년이 기후 관측 역사상 가장 뜨거웠던 해였으며 전례 없는 기록적인 기온이 이어지면서 지난 10년이 지구가 가장 뜨거웠던 해 상위 10위권을 모두 차지한다고 밝혔습니다. It was hot last year and the year before and the year before that.
And the data supports that. Last year was the first year where the average temperature was more than 1.5 degrees higher than the average between 1850 and 1900.
Oh my goodness.
So if we go back more than a century, the global average or the global mean temperature then compared to then last year was 1.5 degrees hotter than that.
And that's quite significant.
And a lot of scientists will say that that 1.5 degrees is the threshold. It's sort of the big red flag where you're reaching this point of no return and something needs to be done.
And we all felt it.
Yeah, especially here in Korea, if you remember, last summer was extremely hot. I remember not just temperature-wise, but just how long the heat spell was. So yeah, say what you will.
All right, what's a data set?
Yeah, so this study took information or data from 6 different agencies, from an agency in Europe, Japan, the US, the UK, and 2 other nonprofits. So a data set would be a sort of a collection of information or data taken from a single source intended for a single project.
데이터의 집합이라고 볼 수 있겠네요. 외래어 그대로 보면은 데이터 세트. 이런 건데 이제 한 단어입니다. 영어에서는 이제 여러 데이터들을 모아놓은 그런 이제 집합 데이터. 그것이 또 역시 여러 개가 모여서 이렇게 종합적으로 결과가 나온 거죠.
And you hear this a lot these days with AI because AI is self-learning and it needs data sets to learn.
I see. What about the word unprecedented?
If something's unprecedented, it's exceptional, it's unrivaled. It means there's no precedent. It's never been done before. So it's original.
전례가 없다. 전에는 이런 적이 없었다. 이럴 때 it's unprecedented. U-N-P-R-E-C-E-D-E-N-T-E-D.
Right. And you hear this in the judicial system a lot where court cases have judges go by precedents, right? Based on past rulings.
맞아요. 법정에서 선례를 보고 그다음에 그걸
판례,
가지고 판례,
right, yeah.
선례 이런 것들을 보고 나서 또 이제 앞으로 이번 사건은 어떻게 판결이 날 것인지 어느 정도 판단을 할 수 있는데 그런 판례들, 선례들 이제 precedente입니다. 근데 unprecedented 하면은 선례가 없는 거예요. 이런
Right.
판례는 존재하지 않아요. 네, 그전에는 이런 사건이 없었다. 자, 다시 한번 제가 읽어보겠습니다. The World Meteorological Organization has confirmed that 2024 was the warmest year on record based on 6 international data sets, with the past 10 years all ranking in the top 10 in an unprecedented streak of record-breaking temperatures. Let's move on to the final headline.
A new study suggests that people who drink coffee in the morning may have a lower risk of dying from cardiovascular disease compared to those who consume coffee throughout the day or don't drink it at all.
아침에 커피를 마시는 사람은 하루 종일 커피를 마시거나 전혀 마시지 않는 사람에 비해서 심혈관 질환으로 인한 사망 위험이 낮을 수 있다는 새로운 연구 결과가 나왔습니다. And as you explain this, let me just drink my morning coffee.
There you go. It's okay to drink it in the morning,
Okay.
but it doesn't mean that drinking it throughout the day is bad for you necessarily either, because researchers found that doing so throughout the day saw no reduction in risk for all-day drinkers compared to non-coffee drinkers. So the non-coffee drinker would be the base here in comparison. Whereas if you drink it in the morning, that means you're 16% less likely to die and 31% less likely to die from heart disease. And the reason is there's 2 sort of explanations that scientists are saying is because if you drink it in the morning or evening, it could disrupt your circadian rhythm, sort of your body's biorhythm or your just how your body is wired. And also it could affect your levels of hormones like melatonin. So drinking it throughout the day isn't necessarily bad, but if you drink it just in the morning, then it could reduce sort of these cardiovascular diseases.
네, 하루 종일 마시거나 아예 안 마시는 것에 비해서 이번 연구 결과 아침에 커피를 마시는 것이 이제 심혈관 질환으로 인한 사망 위험을 한 16% 정도라고 했나요? 예, 그 정도 낮춘다라는 이제 연구 결과가 나왔습니다. 뭐 그렇다고 해서 반드시 100% 이런다라고 말할 수는 없지만 이럴 수도 있다. 저녁 때 커피를 마시는 것이 우리 생체 리듬을 깬다라는 거는 우리가 익히 알고 있는 사실이죠. 생체 리듬을 영어로는 circadian rhythm 아니면 biorhythm 이렇게 표현을 합니다. Alright. To consume something. Let's look
Yeah,
at
when
that.
you consume something, you simply eat it or drink it,
Yeah.
right? It's a fancy way of saying that, or ingest something.
우리 소비하다로 알고 있잖아요. 근데 음식을 섭취하는 것도 영어로 consume이라고 표현을 합니다. 그래서 커피 마시는 거 역시 consume coffee 이렇게 표현할 수 있고요. At all.
At all, it means in any way, to any extent. It's used as emphasis. So if I could say I don't drink coffee, but if I say I don't drink coffee at all, that means I'm emphasizing that.
전혀 이런 뜻이죠. 그래서 I don't drink 이러면은 난 술을 안 마신다. I don't drink coffee 그럼 난 커피를 안 마신다. 뒤에다가 at all 붙이면은 전혀 안 마신다라고
Yeah.
강조가 되는 겁니다.
Yeah.
네. 다시 한번 제가 읽어볼게요. A new study suggests that people who drink coffee in the morning may have a lower risk of dying from cardiovascular disease compared to those who consume coffee throughout the day or don't drink it at all. All right, well, that's it for our headlines with Shane.
Korea's exports reached $16 billion in the first 10 days of January, marking a 3.8% increase from $15.4 billion tallied a year earlier, according to the Korea Customs Service.
관세청은 우리나라 이달 1일부터 10일까지 수출액이 160억 달러로 154억 달러로 기록했던 지난해 같은 기간보다 3.8% 증가했다고 발표했습니다.
We've got good news and bad news here. Good news, first off,
Yeah.
is we're up year on year, $16 billion US dollars during that period when it comes to outbound shipments. That's up 3.8% from a year earlier.
Okay.
More good news, semiconductors and automobiles are both up. Semiconductors by 23.8%, automobiles by 4.7%. The bad news, petroleum products down by 47%. And the other bad news, we're still in a trade deficit
Right.
because imports also rose. They rose by 2.6% on year to $19 billion. So our trade deficit as it stands right now is $2.97 billion.
수출만 놓고 보면은요, 수출액이 늘었습니다. 160억 달러라고 헤드라인에서 말씀을 드렸죠. 그래서 연초 수출이 이렇게 호조를 보이고 있어요. 하지만 trade deficit 전반적으로 봤을 때는 무역 수지 적자다. The opposite of a trade deficit is a trade
surplus.
surplus. Yes, that's right. 우리말로는 무역 수지 흑자라고 할 때는 a trade surplus라고 합니다. S-U-R-P-L-U-S. deficit는 D-E-F-I-C-I-T. So these figures, is that wrong?
I was, it's right. It's right.
D-E-F-I-C-I-T.
Yeah, that is right.
네네.
I was going, for some reason, I got deceit mixed up in my head with spelling. That's why I suddenly looked a bit weird.
Are you trying to deceive me there?
Never,
With the
never,
spelling.
Sue.
All right, so these figures have been tallied.
Expression number one of today. I'm tallying the number of expressions we have.
Okay.
So if we tally something, we add them up. So it's similar to totaled, the number totaled this amount, or added up to this amount. So here we have, the exports tallying $16 billion this year compared to $15.5 billion last year.
Exactly. And when you tally, there are many ways of tallying. In
There
Korea,
are.
it's different to how you do it in the West.
Exactly. Growing up, I always learned to do 4 vertical lines
Yep.
and then 1 diagonal line from bottom left to top right. But here in Korea, we have a different way of doing it. I still can't remember how to do it properly. I need to learn that.
한국에서는 숫자를 셀 때, 특히 학교에서 칠판에다가 쓸 때 발을 정자를 써요. 이게
네.
획이 딱 5개여가지고. 근데 영국이나 미국도 마찬가지일 것 같은데, 이런 서양 국가에서는 한자를 안 쓰죠. 그래서 tallying 할 때, 숫자 이렇게 셀 때 5개씩 묶는 거는 똑같은데, 어떻게 하냐면 세로로 짝대기 4개, 그 다음에 대각선으로 짝대기 하나, 요렇게 해서 씁니다. 그래서 아마 영화 같은 데 보면은 뭐 캐스터웨이라든지
Yeah,
이런
Robinson Crusoe.
그러니까요. 예, 이런 이제 무인도에 표류된 사람들의 이야기 보면은 돌, 바위 이런 데다가 그 탤리잉 한 거 볼 수 있거든요. 근데 그게 이제 서양식으로 세로 짝대기 4개, 그다음에 대각선 하나 이렇게 해서 5개씩 tallying을 한 걸 볼 수 있어요. 이게 tally라는 게 이게 합계, 총계를 내다, 숫자를 세다 이런 의미가 있고 우리는 이제 그걸 바른 정자로 한다. 하는 거 영어로 표현하시면 되겠어요. In Korea, when we tally, we use a Chinese character and it's pronounced 정, but it has 5 strokes. So that's how we do it.
Yes, you could always use an abacus as well.
You could use an abacus. What about customs?
I think we've... Oh, sorry. Expression number 2. I keep
Tallying the
tallying.
expressions, yeah.
Customs, I think everybody who's been on a plane outside of Korea and back into Korea will have gone through customs. And this is what the Korean Customs Service does, is it checks what we're bringing into the country and making sure that we pay the proper taxes or the proper duties on it. But it's not just for passengers, it's also for companies in imports and exports. The Korean Customs Service is making sure that all duties are collected, but also that no illegal goods are coming in or going out of the country.
네. Customs는 세관이에요. 여기서는 Korea Customs Service, 관세청, 이 고유명사 속에 customs라는 단어가 들어있네요. 다시 읽어보겠습니다. Korea's exports reached $16 billion in the first 10 days of January, marking a 3.8% increase from $15.4 billion tallied a year earlier, according to the Korea Customs Service. Let's move on to the next headline.
Some 700 climate activists have been arrested in the Netherlands after occupying highways and protesting against fossil fuel subsidies.
네덜란드에서 기후활동가 700여 명이 체포되는 일이 발생했습니다. 이들은 화석연료 산업에 대한 정부 보조금 지급에 반대하며 고속도로 점거 시위를 벌인 것으로 알려졌습니다. Tell us more.
We've seen this kind of protest increase over the past few years in Europe.
Yeah.
Certainly in the UK as well, there have been a lot of these kind of climate protests. And what happens is these protesters will literally sit in the middle of the road or lie in the middle of the road or chain themselves to something or to stop themselves from being taken away. And the police will give them a warning. And if they don't move, well, they will intervene. And in this case, that included the use of water cannons.
Yeah.
And eventually for those who continually refused to move out, that they remained in place, that led to arrests. So there were mass arrests, but only 12 have been arrested on charges of incitement and assault. The rest have been released.
Why they choose this particular method of protesting, according to them, is to raise awareness.
And it does, because everybody in the area knows what's going on because they can't get to work very often. It's a double-edged sword.
It is.
Yeah, because for one, everybody knows about it and you're making a big statement. But for another, everybody around you is most likely annoyed or even angry that you're doing it because you're disrupting their life.
네. 이렇게 고속도로 점거 시위를 하면서 환경 이슈를 얘기하고 내거는 그런 시위가 가끔 뉴스에서 들립니다. 근데 이런 방법을 택하는 이유가 이 환경 활동가들에 의하면은 이런 문제에 대한 인식을 사람들에게 확실히 각인을 시키기 위한 것이다. 고속도로 점거하면은 다 알게 돼 있거든요. 뉴스에도 나오고 운전하는 사람들 출퇴근하는 사람들 다 알 수밖에 없거든요. 그래서 그런 인식을 고취시키기 위한 것이다. 이렇게 얘기를 하지만 또 한편으로는 운전을 하다가 내가 지금 이 시위 때문에 지각을 하게 생겼다든지 뭐 배달을 빨리 해야 되는데 하지 못한다든지
Even
이런
ambulances.
그렇죠. 또 그런 정말 심각한 문제. 앰뷸런스도 뭐 길이 막혀서 못 간다든지 할 때는 이런 방법은 좀 되지 않았으면 좋겠다 하는 반대 목소리도 많습니다.
Yeah, and these are not, I mean, in Korea we often have organized protests where everybody knows that it's going to happen. In these
이런
cases,
시위는 안 하는
these
것
are
같아요,
guerrilla
우리나라에서.
protests. They're suddenly popping up out of the middle of nowhere.
Exactly. So they occupied the streets or the road, the highway.
Yes, I don't know if you remember, I think it was maybe a decade ago, there was Occupy Wall Street, where protesters literally went and lived on Wall Street, on the streets for a number of days and weeks. So if you occupy somewhere, you either take charge of it
Yeah.
or you are there. Sue occupies her house. I occupy my house. We are occupying the studio right now, but only temporarily. We can also talk about one country occupying another. The point is you're going there or you're taking charge of it or you're making it yours.
이게 어떤 공간을 차지하다 아니면 무언가를 점유하다라는 의미로 쓰는데요. 이 occupy라는 단어는 굉장히 흥미로운 게 아주 큰 심각한 상황에서도 쓰지만
네.
아주 작은 상황에서도 쓸 수 있어요. 예를 들자면은 자 occupation 그러면 점령이죠. 이건 아주 역사적으로 심각한 상황이고 serious하고 또 어떻게 보면 공식적이고 그런 얘기인데 그런 거 말고 옆에 자리 여기 비었어요. 이런 정말 사소한 얘기할 때도 is this seat occupied? 이렇게 얘기할 수도 있어요.
Yeah, it goes from the tiniest inconsequential thing to something quite enormous.
물론 is this seat taken? 이게 좀 더 캐주얼하지만 occupy가 이렇게 아주 그냥 사소한 것에서도 쓰일 수가 있다. 그래서 occupy는 어떤 공간 같은 것을 차지할 때 아니면 시간을 차지할 때 씁니다. What about fossil fuel?
Fossil fuels are made from fossils. It's oil and gas. It's fuels that come out of the ground and are non-renewable because they come from, well, millions of years ago. It's taken millions of years for them to change into a state where we can use them for energy. So fossil fuels, the two big ones we always think of is oil and gas.
fossil fuel은 말 그대로 화석 연료가 되겠습니다. 참고로 subsidy 그러면은 보조금이고요. 다시 한번 읽어볼게요. Some 700 climate activists have been arrested in the Netherlands after occupying highways and protesting against fossil fuel subsidies.
Cold weather conditions have caused more than 400 deaths in Taiwan since New Year's Day, according to local officials, with experts warning that the cold weather could increase health risks for individuals with chronic diseases.
대만에서 한파로 인해 올해 1월 1일 이후 400명 이상의 사망자가 나왔다고 현지 당국이 밝힌 가운데 전문가들은 만성질환자의 경우 추운 날씨로 인한 건강 위험이 커질 수 있다고 경고했습니다. Oh, wow. Okay, so Taiwan is normally a warmer country than ours.
Exactly. So I think this has been a big shock for the country. It was that first 10 days of the year up until last Friday. There were a total of 437 deaths recorded due to the cold weather conditions. And it's because they had these two cold air masses hitting one after the other. And that meant it was down to 10 degrees or lower, much colder than it would normally be in Taiwan. And so they are warning those who have chronic diseases that are long-lasting, whether it's to do with your heart or your lungs, to be careful and to exercise caution, because if there's a big change in the weather, that can have a drastic effect on your health.
1월 1일부터 1월 10일까지 이렇게 400명 이상의 그 추위로 인한 한파로 인한 사망자가 나왔다는 안타까운 소식입니다. Weather conditions라는 표현이 있는데요. What does that mean?
Yeah, when we talk about the condition of something, it's how it is. So what's the weather condition today? It's warmer than yesterday, but it's icy on the roads, would be what I'd say. So it's how's the weather? The answer will be telling someone the condition of the weather, the weather conditions.
그래요. Weather conditions는 기상 상황을 말합니다. 여기서 이 condition이라는 단어가 참 다양하게 쓰이죠.
네.
우리도 오늘 나 컨디션 좋아. 아니면 오늘 좀 컨디션이 안 좋아. 이렇게 일상적으로 많이 쓰는데 영어에서 사실 일상적인 기분에 대해서는 쓰진 않고요. 이렇게 날씨 상황이나 질병이 있을 때 진짜 좀 심각한 신체의 그런 컨디션에 대해서는 conditions 씁니다. 아까도 cardiovascular conditions, 심혈관 질환으로 인한 사망자가 많이 나왔다.
We also use it in a different sense all the time with our phones, new pieces of electronics, new apps, because we always have to read the terms and conditions.
Yes.
Yeah, so the word condition is used a lot in English, often in written English, we'll see it,
That's
rather than spoken English.
그러네요. 조건이라는 뜻으로 terms and conditions 이렇게 나와 있을 때도 있죠. 계약서 같은 데도 그렇게 써 있고요. Chronic diseases는 뭘까요?
A disease is an illness of some kind, and if it's chronic, it means it's lasting for a long time. It's persistent.
Yeah.
So, for example, one illness that often appears in the winter is bronchitis. And bronchitis, if you're okay, if you're lucky, it's only going to last a few days or a week. If you have chronic bronchitis, we're talking weeks, if not months of suffering from the disease.
그렇죠. bronchitis는 기관지염 말하는 거죠. 네, bronchitis 스펠링이 bronchitis.
Yes.
네, 이렇게 쓰는 것 같습니다. 자, 그런 것들도 이제 만성 질환이 되면은 상당히 힘든데요. 만성 질환, chronic disease.
Yeah, the other term where we use chronic to do with health that's used a lot is chronic pain. For those who have, consistent back pains
Yeah.
or have pains in their body or headaches, we can use the term chronic here as well.
그렇죠. 만성적인 뭐 통증이라든지 그런 거 chronic pains. 자, 다시 읽어보겠습니다. Cold weather conditions have caused more than 400 deaths in Taiwan since New Year's Day, according to local officials, with experts warning that the cold weather could increase health risks for individuals with chronic diseases. Let's move on to the next headline.
A nutritionist at King's College London has pointed out that skipping breakfast may hinder weight loss efforts, explaining that meal timing and overall dietary habits are more important than simply eating less.
아침 식사를 거르는 것이 정작 체중 감량에는 방해가 될 수 있으며 단순히 적게 먹는 것보다 식사를 하는 시간과 전반적인 식습관이 더 중요하다는 영양학자의 의견이 나왔습니다. All right, tell us more about this.
I think one of the big trends for dieting has been intermittent fasting and the idea of only eating during a short period during the day, just a number of hours. However, this dietitian at King's College London, Dr. Emily Leeming, has said that there's conflicting research. So yes, this intermittent fasting, eating during a shorter window each day, can relate to a lower BMI. However, you need to do that within daylight hours. So eat early, stop early, because your digestive system slows down in the evening. So if you're eating later, even though you've not eaten all day, it can actually be worse for you in that case. And also, if you're eating less during less time, you're more likely to reach for snacks and for less healthy foods. So everybody who's on a diet, because I think a lot of people may have made a resolution,
Yep.
be aware you may think you're helping yourself, but you could actually be causing yourself more problems.
아침 식사 거르는 거를 영어로는 skipping breakfast라고 표현을 합니다. 이게 뭐 꼭 좋다, 꼭 나쁘다 이렇게 단정적으로 말할 수는 없지만 Dr. Emily Leeming에 따르면은 이게 아침 식사를 뭐 반드시 안 먹어야지 살이 빠지고 또 먹으면은 또 아니면 또 반대로 반드시 또 먹어야지 좋고 이런 것보다는 타이밍 언제 먹느냐 그리고 가능하면은 해가 떠 있을 때 이제 식사를 해가지고 간헐적 단식 intermittent fasting을 하더라도 이게 내 생체 리듬과 맞게 해가 떠 있을 때 먹고 그다음에 좀 어두울 때 안 먹고 이러는 게 더 좋다 이 얘기를 하는 것 같아요. 그래서 daylight hours should align with your fasting window or your eating window.
Yeah, there's an old expression that said you should eat breakfast like a king, eat lunch like a farmer, and eat dinner like a pauper.
Yeah.
The idea that you eat more in the morning, a little
right.
bit less at lunch, and a little bit less at dinner. And can I just talk about the word breakfast for a second?
Yeah.
Because breakfast means breaking your fast.
Yes.
And a fast is when you don't eat for a period of time, in this case, overnight. And so you break your fast by eating something.
맞아요. 간헐적 단식에서 그 단식에 해당되는 단어가 fasting이죠. FAST, fast가 breakfast 안에도 들어가 있는 단어인데요. 이게 단식이에요. 그러니까 우리가 잠을 자고 의도하든 안 하든 어쨌든 단식을 하는 격이잖아요. 잠을 자는 동안에. 그러고 나서 그 단식을 깨는 첫 번째 식사. 그게 바로 break fast, breakfast가 되는 겁니다. 자, hinder는 뭐예요?
That's when we delay something or prevent something or obstruct it, try to cause some sort of problems or just be a cause of problems. So, I mean, I try to help you, Sue, but sometimes I wonder if I'm just hindering you.
Not at all. hinder, 방해하다라는 뜻이고요. meal timing.
Well, that's when you eat your meals, the time you eat your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner, your supper, your late night snack, your 11s, your afternoon tea.
Yeah. meal timing은 식사를 언제 할 것인가 정하는 그 시간을 말하는 거겠죠? 식사 시간.
네.
meal timing. 자, 다시 한번 읽어보겠습니다. A nutritionist at King's College London has pointed out that skipping breakfast may hinder weight loss efforts, explaining that meal timing and overall dietary habits are more important than simply eating less. And moving on, this is our final headline.
A judge in the UK has thrown out a man's attempt to sue a council to recover from a rubbish tip a Bitcoin hard drive that is now valued at approximately £600 million or 1 trillion won.
비트코인이 들어있는 하드드라이브를 되찾기 위해 쓰레기 매립지에 접근하게 해달라며 시의회를 고소하려던 한 영국 남성의 주장이 법원에서 기각됐습니다. 이 남성이 실수로 버린 비트코인 금액은 지금 가치로 약 6억 파운드, 우리 돈으로 1조 원에 달하는 것으로 알려졌습니다. So I understand this man has been trying to retrieve or find his hard drive for a decade.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
And it wasn't him that lost it, he says. It was his former partner who accidentally dumped it. The issue is, and the judge was very clear about this, is that now, according to the council, the hard drive is now its property. When it entered the landfill site. When it went into the rubbish tip, that it belongs to the council. But also, the council has certain environmental permits. There are rules about what it can and can't do. And excavating the site is forbidden. So he wouldn't be able to look for it anyway.
Right.
So the judge has thrown his case out of court.
자, 벌써 10년 동안 이 남성이 그 쓰레기 매립지 안에 내 하드드라이브가 있는 것 같으니 이 시에서 내가 그걸 찾을 수 있게 해달라. 10년 동안이나 지금 싸워온 거예요. 근데 시에서 계속 안 된다. 환경적인 문제. 그리고 이거를 다 뒤집어가지고 꺼내서 하드드라이브가 지금 있는지 없는지도 확실하지 않은데 그렇게 하는 건 계속 안 된다 해서 이 남성이 시의회를 대상으로 고소를 한 겁니다. 그러면서 그거 나 못 찾게 할 거면 지금까지 내가 들인 노력도 있고 이게 뭐 현재 가치는 1조 원이지만 1조 원까지는 아니고 한 8천억 원 정도만 나한테 배상을 해주라. 이렇게 고소를 했는데 기각이 됐습니다. 제가 뭐 8천억 원만이라고 지금 약간 우습게 얘기를 했지만 그걸 요구했어요. 이 남성이. 시의회가 내가 지금 이거 찾았으면은 내가 좀 엄청난 부자가 됐을 텐데 못 찾게 하니까 내가 손해를 봤잖아요. 그러면서 이제 고소를 한 겁니다. Very interesting.
It is. It's another example of how in the UK we like to follow the rules. And if the rules are there, then well, that's it. We follow the rules to the letter.
네, 이 남성의 이름이 보니까 제임스 하울스인가요? 제임스 하울스.
네.
39살이라고 합니다. 29살 때부터 지금까지 10년 동안 이렇게 노력해온 거네요. 그러니까 사실 이 존재가 없었으면은 이 에너지와 시간을 들이지 않았을 건데 계속 1조 원이 내 건데 이 생각을 하니까 잠을 못 자고 억울해하고 계속 매립지 안에 있을 거야 그러는 게 아닌가.
Yeah, the problem
억울하긴
is.
하죠, 약간.
The problem is, though, he's not just lost the money, he's also lost 10 years. He
He
spent
has.
10 years fighting for something he was never going to get.
그래요,
And
그래요.
that's also the real shame, is that he could have been getting on with his life.
그러니까요. 자, 매립지 여기서 rubbish tip라고 했네요.
What a load of rubbish. Now, when we compare the US and the UK loves to use the word rubbish.
Yeah.
Growing up, we didn't have trash cans, we had rubbish bins. And we also have a rubbish tip. Landfill is the other term. Trash heap or garbage heap is the other term you might hear. But certainly, tip is used a lot in English. And we also say no tipping or no fly tipping, meaning you can't offload your rubbish here or there or anywhere. You have to take it to the tip.
그래요. 자, 영국식 표현입니다. 쓰레기 매립지, rubbish tip. 미국에서는 landfill이라는 표현 많이 쓰고 landfill은 한 단어인데 rubbish tip는 두 단어예요. rubbish라는 단어 자체가 쓰레기라는 뜻인데 영국에서는 이거 말도 안 돼 할 때도 rubbish.
What a load of rubbish.
그렇게 말하기도 하고요. 그다음에 이제 쓰레기통 rubbish bin 이렇게 표현하죠. 많이 쓰는 단어입니다. 자, 그다음에 be valued at.
Mean is that's how much it's worth. That's the price that someone has assigned to it.
그래요. 얼마만큼의 가치로 평가가 된다. 현재 가치로 만약에 진짜 이 하드드라이브를 찾아가지고 비트코인을 네, are you
Excuse me.
okay?
Oh,
네.
I'm fine. I just had a cough rise up inside me.
그럴 때가 있죠. 네, 현재 가치를 매긴다면은 우리 돈으로 약 1조 원에 달하는 그런 비트코인일 것이다 라고 하고 있습니다. 자, 다시 한번 제가 읽어볼게요. A judge in the UK has thrown out a man's attempt to sue a council to recover from a rubbish tip a Bitcoin hard drive that's now valued at approximately £600 million or 1 trillion won. All right, well, that's it for the headlines with Paul Matthews.
Korea's air passenger traffic exceeded 120 million in 2024, a 19.5% increase from the previous year and nearing pre-pandemic levels, according to the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport.
국토교통부 자료에 따르면 지난해 우리나라 항공 여객수가 전년 대비 19.5% 증가한 1억 2천만 명을 넘어서면서 코로나19 이전 수준 가까이 회복한 것으로 나타났습니다. So more and more people are traveling. Tell us more.
Yeah, definitely. So it does sound like overseas travel has picked up, returning to levels before COVID-19. So they're saying air passenger traffic reached more than 120 million people last year. That was up 19.5% from the previous year, or 2023. And this figure represents 97% of the record 123.36 million, which was tallied in 2019.
Yeah.
That was before the outbreak of COVID-19. So the number of air passengers on domestic flights marked 31.13 million last year. That was down 3% from a year earlier, while the figure for international flights posted 88.92 million, soaring 30% on year. Taking a look by destination, passengers to and from Japan jumped 29.7% on year to over 25 million last year, which makes sense because it's very close in proximity. So a lot of people chose to visit Japan,
Yep.
taking advantage of the weekends perhaps, and the short flight distance.
The weak yen also helped.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
국내선, 국제선 다 합해가지고요. 이번에 1억 2천만 명 이상이 그 항공 여행을 했다라는 집계가 나왔습니다. 이게 2024년 통틀어서의 집계가 바로 어제 나온 거고요. 이 1억 2천만 명이 조금 넘었어요. 1억 2,005만 명 정도였더라고요. 근데 이게 어느 정도 수준이냐면은 코로나19 바로 직전인 2019년에 1억 2,300만 명 정도가 여행을 했습니다. 그 수준 거의 비슷하게 지금
Yeah.
따라잡고 있는 거죠.
Yeah.
그 전해 2023년 같은 경우에는 1억 50만 명 정도였습니다. 그러니까 1억 1천만 명도 되지 않았었죠. 근데 이제 1억 2천만 명으로 계속 껑충껑충 올라가고 있는 모습이고 국내선, 국제선 뭐 통틀어서라고 말씀을 드렸는데 아무래도 국제선이 압도적으로 더 많고요. 8천만 명 이상, 또 국내선은 3천만 명 이상 작년에 여행을 했습니다. 국제선은 일본으로 가는 게 가장 많았고 그 다음에 중국 이렇게 여행을 많이 했었네요. 표현 보겠습니다. exceed.
Yeah, exceed. We use this when we are referring to something that is greater in number or size. So we're talking about like a quantity,
Right.
number, or other measurable thing.
exceed. How do you spell this word?
There are two, actually, there are many E's in exceed. So
Okay.
it's E-X-C-E-E-D.
그래요. 이가 3개나 들어가 있네요.
Yeah.
네, exceed라는 것은 초과하다라는 뜻이 되겠습니다. 그래서 air passenger traffic exceeded 120 million이라고 하는 게 바로 1억 2천만 명을 넘어서는 그런 항공 여객 수라는 뜻이 되겠고요. Pre-pandemic levels.
Yeah, so we add the preposition pre to mean like previous to or before. So when we're talking about pre-pandemic levels, we're talking about levels or like figures that were recorded before the COVID-19 pandemic occurred.
Yeah. So something that's after would be post.
Yes.
And before is pre.
Yeah.
네, 요 접두어 pre, pre가 붙으면은 전. 그 다음에 post, post가 붙으면은 후. 그래가지고 우리가 pre-pandemic, post-pandemic 이런 표현들을 계속 많이 쓰고 있어요.
Yeah, yeah.
예, 지금은 이제 post-pandemic era에 살고 있는 거죠.
We are, and a lot has changed.
A lot has indeed.
Yeah.
자, 근데 이제 pre-pandemic levels니까 코로나19 이전 수준의 그런 항공 여객 수 굉장히 비슷하게 지금 따라잡았습니다. 퍼센티지로 보면은 2019년 대비 작년에 거의 한 98% 정도까지 항공 여객 수가 많이 늘어난 것을 볼 수 있습니다. 뭐 그렇게 되면 아마 2025년에는 뭐 더 늘 수도 있겠고요.
Yeah, it might
지켜봐야겠지만. 네.
exceed the figure or the record that was set before COVID-19. Yeah.
그럴 수도 있겠네요.
Yeah.
자, 다시 한번 제가 읽어보겠습니다. Korea's air passenger traffic exceeded 120 million in 2024, a 19.5% increase from the previous year, and nearing pre-pandemic levels, according to the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, and Transport. Now let's move on to California. This is headline number 2.
California Governor Gavin Newsom has urged lawmakers to approve at least $2.5 billion in funds to address the wildfires that have ravaged Los Angeles County.
게빈 뉴섬 미국 캘리포니아 주지사가 로스앤젤레스 산불 구호 및 복구 용도로 최소 25억 달러의 자금 지원을 승인해 줄 것을 주의회에 요청했습니다. So the governor is calling this the sort of Californian version of the Marshall Plan.
Yeah.
Tell us more.
Yeah. He's asked legislative leaders to approve, we mentioned, $2.5 billion in response to these wildfires that have ravaged the area. So I think we heard that these unprecedented blazes, they've left many people dead and a trail of destruction in the state that's called the Golden State in the U.S. And this aid request comes as Democrats at the Capitol find themselves sort of under a lot of pressure to spend less time waging this sort of national political battle against the president-elect, Donald Trump. So Newsom issued this proclamation that broadens the scope of the special session and calls for the legislature to approve $1 billion for emergency response, cleanup, and recovery in Los Angeles County, which the state hopes to recover through the Federal Emergency Management Agency. And he, as you mentioned, he's organizing this sort of Marshall Plan to help Los Angeles rebuild faster and stronger, including billions in new and accelerated state funding so that they can move faster to deliver for the thousands that have lost their homes and livelihoods in these firestorms. And this plan, if it is approved, it would also make $1.5 billion available in state funds to prepare for the threat of firestorms, windstorms, and other natural disasters, in addition to the federal disaster money. And another yet to be determined sum would support rebuilding and repairing schools.
Yeah, you've just broken down the $2.5 billion in funds for us.
Yeah.
우리 돈으로는 3조 6천억 원 정도가 되는 이제 자금 지원 프로젝트 승인해달라라는 얘기가 되겠고요. 이 25억 달러 중에서 10억 달러는 긴급구호, 그리고 15억 달러는 복구, 그리고 산불 대비 돈이 들어갈 것으로 이렇게 예상이 됩니다. 상당히 큰 금액이죠. 그래서 이렇게 자금 지원을 하면서 황폐화된 지역을 돕는 이런 것들을 지금 캘리포니아 주지사가 캘리포니아의 마셜 플랜이다라고 이렇게 표현을 하고 있어요. 그 마셜 플랜이 뭐냐? 2차 세계 대전 이후에 유럽이 이제 그 전쟁의 폐허로 굉장히 고생을 하고 있었을 때 그때 당시에 미국의 국무장관이 조지 마셜이었어요. 근데 국무장관이 제안한 겁니다. 미국에서 우리가 경제적으로 돕자, 재정적인 지원을 해주자 해가지고 거기서 나온 이름 바로 마셜 플랜이 되겠습니다. 그때 당시 이제 트루먼 대통령 때였는데 거기서 나온 이름이에요.
Yeah.
근데 이번에 LA 주지사가 우리도 이번에 어떻게 보면 캘리포니아식의 마셜 플랜 같은 거 사람들에게 지금 엄청난 도움을 우리가 줘야 되는 상황이니까 그런 재정적인 지원을 해주자라는 거고요. 미국의 지금 캘리포니아주 의회 승인을 먼저 받아야지만 이게 실행이 될 수가 있습니다.
Yeah. And he's using that sort of the expression because the damages and the destruction that these wildfires have caused is it's on par with damages of a war.
Exactly.
Yeah.
그렇습니다. 참고로 여기서 Marshall Plan의 Marshall 스펠링은 M-A-R-S-H-A-L-L이에요. 그래서 말씀드린 것처럼 이게 예전에 그 국무장관 조지 마셜의 이름에서 따온 겁니다. Not to be confused with M-A-R-T-I-A-L, which sounds the same but
Yeah.
has a very different meaning.
Yeah.
But that's a different word.
Yeah, that's different.
Very, very different word. Okay, so let's have a look at this expression here, to urge.
Right, to urge. If you're urging someone to do something for you, you're very earnestly or persistently trying to persuade them to do something.
네, urge someone to do something. Please do it. 이렇게 강력하게 권고하고 촉구하는 겁니다. 지금 캘리포니아 주지사가 주의회에 이거 통과 꼭 시켜주세요 라고 urging, 강력히 촉구하고 있는 거고요. And to address something?
Yeah, address something. So we're not talking about your home address here. It's used as a verb, of course, and it means to think about and begin to deal with some sort of issue or some sort of problem.
네, A-D-D-R-E-S. address something, 동사고요. 무언가를 다루다라는 뜻이 있습니다. 여기서는 LA의 지금 산불을 다룬다라기보다는 이제 그것에 대한 대처를
Yeah.
위해서 이런 작은 플랜을 지금 제안한 것이고 통과가 되기를 바란다라는 얘기를 주지사가 했습니다. 아마 될 걸로 이제 보여지죠.
Yeah.
될
I
걸로
mean,
보여집니다.
if you've seen like the footages and the images and the pictures, it's just it looks like Judgment Day. It's
그러게 말입니다.
horrifying.
It
yes.
is exactly. And just in terms of how much has been affected in
Yeah.
terms of the area, we're looking
Yeah.
at more than 1/4 of the whole area of Seoul. So it's a large area. 자, 다시 한번 제가 읽어보겠습니다. California Governor Gavin Newsom has urged lawmakers to approve at least $2.5 billion in funds to address the wildfires that have ravaged Los Angeles County.
The terms of a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas, including the release of hostages, are nearing finalization and could be agreed upon within hours, days, or more, according to both Palestinian and Israeli officials.
인질 석방을 포함한 이스라엘과 하마스 간의 휴전 협상 조율이 마무리 단계에 들어갔으며 수시간 혹은 수일 내외 안으로 타결될 가능성이 있다고 팔레스타인과 이스라엘 관리들이 전했습니다. So there could be a ceasefire between Hamas and Israel. Tell us more.
Yeah, so Qatar is mediating these deals, these ceasefire negotiations, or the negotiations between Israel and Hamas. It's the deal for a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip and the release of hostages. And they're saying that there are signs that Israel and Hamas are on the brink of an agreement. So a Palestinian official that's familiar with these negotiations has said that for the first time in this war, delegations from Israel and Hamas are conducting indirect talks in the same building. And Hamas is also said to have dropped its condition for Israeli troops to leave the Strip. And U.S. President Joe Biden said a deal was on the brink to coming to fruition.
Yeah.
And Israeli officials also said that a deal was possible, like we mentioned, in hours, days, or more. And this new impetus to strike a deal, it comes after threats by U.S. President-elect Donald Trump that hell will break loose if no deal is reached by the time that he is inaugurated on January 20th, which is coming up real soon.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
less than a week away.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Biden has spoken with the Israeli Prime Minister and with Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani of Qatar, who is mediating these negotiations. And both sides have agreed that Hamas would release 3 hostages on the first day of the agreement, after which Israel would begin withdrawing the troops from populated areas. And then 7 days later, they said Hamas would release 4 additional hostages. hostages, and Israel would allow displaced people in the south to return to the north. And they're saying that, they're continuing to negotiate, and the negotiations for the second and third phases of the agreement would begin on the 16th day of the ceasefire.
It's been 15 months already since
Yeah.
this conflict or war broke out. And as you said, one of the big reasons, the big impetus behind this possible ceasefire seems to be US President-elect Trump. And he is going to come into office in just a few days' time on the 20th of January. And he has threatened Hamas that he will possibly take action if they don't release all of the hostages to Israel. 자, 이렇게 하마스와 이스라엘 간의 충돌 벌써 15개월이나 계속되고 있는 전쟁인데요. 다음 주, 그러니까 1월 20일이면은 미국의 대통령 당선인이죠. 트럼프 당선인이 대통령이 됩니다. 그런데요, 트럼프 당선인이 무슨 얘기를 했냐면은 내가 대통령이 되는 그날까지, 그러니까 1월 20일 전까지 하마스에서 이스라엘의 모든 인질을 석방하지 않으면 hell will break loose라는 표현을 썼어요. 우리말로 하면은 지옥문이 열릴 거다라고 엄포를 내렸습니다. 아니 뭐 이게 어떻게 보면 굉장히 위협적인 얘기를 한 거죠. 근데 그 얘기가 나오자마자 지금 굉장히 빠르게 진행이 되고 있는 모습이고요. 지금 말씀하신 것처럼 현 대통령 바이든도 아마 곧 어떤 협상이 타결될 것 같다라는 얘기를 했다고 합니다. All right, so the terms could be agreed upon. We're nearing the finalization of this ceasefire.
Right.
Let's look at these two terms.
Yeah. So you can see the word final in there, so we can kind of guess that it has something to do with the end of something. So finalization means the completion or approval of a finished and definitive version of something.
최종 승인이라든지 결론을 내리는 것, 이게 finalization입니다. 명사고요. final화하는 거죠. 이게 끝나다. 뭐 끝난다기보다는 여기서는 이제 협상이 타결이 된다의 의미로 보시면 돼요. 왜냐하면 ceasefire라는 것 자체가 정전 내지는 휴전 이런 의미니까 전쟁이 끝나진 않겠지만 그래도 최소한 어느 정도 중단은 될 것이다. 그것에 대한 terms, 조건들, 그 조건을 이제 합의하면서 타결이 될 것 같다. It's going to be agreed upon.
Yeah, so we use this when, there are different parties involved and they have all decided on something mutually.
Agree upon something.
Yeah.
무엇에 대해서 합의하다라는 뜻이 되겠죠. So Hamas and Israel, they have almost agreed upon the details, the terms of a ceasefire. Terms of a ceasefire라는 것은 이 휴전의 어떤 그 조건들, 그것이 서로 뭐 안 맞았겠죠, 처음에는. 오랫동안. 근데 그런 게 이제 조율 단계에 들어가서 맞추게 될 것 같다. 이런 얘기가 되겠습니다. 다시 한번 제가 읽어볼게요. The terms of a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas, including the release of hostages, are nearing finalization and could be agreed upon within hours, days, or more, according to both Palestinian and Israeli officials. Let's move on to the next headline.
China's annual Spring Festival travel rush has officially kicked off with a record-breaking 9 billion trips expected across rail, road, and air during the 40-day festive period.
중국 최대 명절 춘제의 특별 운송 기간인 춘윈이 공식적으로 시작된 가운데 40일에 달하는 이 기간 동안 사상 최대 규모인 연 인원 90억 명이 열차와 자동차 그리고 항공기로 이동할 것으로 보입니다. 90억 명이요.
Yes, can
Wow.
you imagine so many people traveling at the same time?
But it is a long period too,
Yes,
isn't it?
yeah. So that's probably why they've made this spring festival period so long to kind of help people break it up into different times, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's known as Chenyun. It's the annual spring festival travel rush, and it has officially began. So apparently, I think it it's managed from 15 days before the Lunar New Year and 25 days after the Lunar New Year. So
Yeah.
it's this special transportation period. And it's going to run from the 14th to the 22nd of next month.
네.
And they're saying that the total number of people or the total travel volume, I guess, will be a record-breaking 9 billion trips. That's expected across rail, road, and air. And they're saying that the number of people traveling by rail and air will exceed 510 million and 90 million respectively, and they will both be record highs. And they're saying that maybe it's because for the first time this year, Chinese authorities have declared the 28th, which is the day before the Spring Festival begins, a legal holiday. And this is expected to further increase the scale of travel. They're saying already the railroad has sold over 8.57 million tickets for the Spring Festival.
Yep.
And they're focusing on stable operations, making sure that people can't buy, that people can't log in abnormally and buy tickets in an abnormal way. And they've tried to organize additional tickets. It kind of sounds like what happens in Korea during, Lunar New Year's and Chuseok, the Chuseok holidays, but
Except
on
on
a
a
much bigger scale.
Exactly. 맞아요.
Yeah.
자, 중국의 설이죠. 춘제라고 합니다. 영어로는 Spring Festival이라고 하거든요. 춘제 전에 15일, 그다음에 춘제 후에 25일 요 기간을 특별 수송 기간, 특별 운송 기간인 춘윈이라고 합니다. 이제 중국식 발음으로 봄 춘자 아까 Spring Festival, 그다음에 이제 운송 운자 넣어 가지고 춘윈이라고 하더라고요. 이제 이 춘윈, 이 특별 운송 기간이 공식적으로 시작이 됐는데 이렇게 90억 명 정도가 열차, 자동차, 또 항공기로 이동할 것으로 보인다고 하고 또 특히 자차 이용하는 사람들이 굉장히 많을 거라고 하죠.
I think around 80% of
어,
all
대부분
population
운전하고,
regional movements.
그럴 거군요. 예. 그래서 올해의 이 춘윈 기간이 중국에서는 1월 14일부터 2월 22일까지라고 합니다. So I would expect, international travelers to keep this in mind.
Yeah.
Maybe not travel to China during this time.
Yeah,
because it's
yeah.
going to be super crowded.
Very, very hectic.
Okay.
Probably very hard to get tickets, like rail tickets.
True.
Yeah, or there will be lots of traffic on the roads. Yeah.
맞아요. 자, 이 Spring Festival travel rush가 kick-off했습니다.
Yeah, it has kicked off. So we hear this a lot when we talk about like K-pop stars kicking off their tours, world tours. So it means to cause something to begin.
그래요. kick-off라는 건 뭔가 시작이 되다라는 뜻이 되겠습니다. 그다음에 이제 festive period는요?
Yeah, festive period is basically talking about the festival period. So it's that time where basically for this case, we're talking about that period of time when the Spring Festival is celebrated.
그러니까 이 축제 기간을 말하고 있는 거죠. 그리고 여기서 이제 아까 90억 명이라고 해서 많은 분들이 90억 명? 9억 명 아니야? 이렇게 또 궁금해하시는 분이 있는데요. 90억 명이 많습니다. 이게 연 인원이에요. 이 연 인원이라는 건 뭐냐면은 그 며칠 동안이냐라는 것을 감안해서 이게 지금 40일 동안의 기간이잖아요. 그러니까 40일 동안 이동하는 사람들의 숫자를 다 합친 거기 때문에 그게 물론 중복되는 사람들도 있을 수 있어요.
Yeah.
그러니까
Because you have to come and go.
그렇죠. 그러니까 뭐 예를 들어서 10명이 4일에 걸쳐서 이렇게 이동을 계속 했으면은 연 인원은 40명이 되는 거거든요.
Yeah.
그래서 지금 40일에 걸쳐서 수많은 중국의 인파가 이동할 것으로 보이기 때문에 그것을 총 합친 숫자가 90억 명이지 이제 뭐 따로따로 90억 명이란 뜻은 아닙니다.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. So, if you're like a family of 4, you have to also visit, you have to go to 2 places. You have to visit your side of the family. And if you're married, you have to visit your husband's side of the family. And if there's 4 people going to 2 different places, and if you're going and coming back, that's That's a lot of movement.
네, 그렇습니다.
Yep.
그래서 그냥 단순히 총 이동하는 어떤 횟수, 표를 끊는 횟수 아니면 운전하는 횟수 이런 것들을 다 합쳐 놓은 게 이렇게나 숫자가 크게 되는군요. 다시 한번 제가 읽어보겠습니다. China's annual Spring Festival travel rush has officially kicked off with a record-breaking 9 billion trips expected across rail, road and air during the 40-day festive period. Now let's move on to the next headline.
At least 100 men who were mining illegally in an abandoned gold mine in South Africa have died after being trapped deep underground for months while police tried to force them out, according to a group representing the miners.
남아프리카 공화국의 한 폐금광에서 불법으로 금을 캐려던 채굴꾼들 중 최소 100명이 숨졌습니다. 한 지역 광부 지원단체에 따르면 이들은 수개월 동안 경찰의 포위 단속을 피해 지하 갱도 깊은 곳에 갇힌 상태로 지내왔던 것으로 알려졌습니다. Tell us more.
Yeah, so it is unfortunate news. They say that a minimum of 100 men are suspected to have died of starvation and dehydration after being trapped deep underground for months while police tried to get them to come out. And this is according to a group that represents these miners. And they say that more than 500 others are still trapped in this mine. They say a cell phone was sent to the surface with some rescued miners last week, and it had 2 videos in it showing dozens of bodies that were underground wrapped in plastic. They say that 18 bodies have been brought out since Friday last week.
Right.
9 of those bodies were recovered in a community-led operation. Another 9 were recovered in an official rescue operation by authorities when 26 survivors were also brought out. Police are saying that they're still verifying information on how many bodies had been recovered and how many survivors were brought out after starting a new rescue operation. And authorities are now hoping to bring all of the miners out. They say that this happened because illegal mining is common in parts of gold-rich South Africa, where companies close down mines that are no longer profitable, and that leaves groups of informal miners to illegally enter them and try to find leftover deposits.
Yeah, the government has actually been criticized for taking such a hardline stance on these illegal miners.
Yeah.
자, 그러니까 일단 작년 한 4월 정도로 돌아가야 되는 그런 사건입니다. 대략적으로 한 작년 4월 정도부터 이 불법 채굴꾼들이 이 폐금광에 들어가서요, 무단으로 이제 들어간 거죠. 근데 그것에 대한 단속이 이제 조금씩 이뤄지다가 본격적으로는 몇 달 전인 11월부터 이제 남아공 당국에서 어떻게 이제 단속을 하기 시작했느냐? 물과 식량 반입을 완전히 중단하고요. 입구 막아버리고 단속령을 내린 겁니다. 그러니까 그 안에서 버티지 못하게 하는 건데, 그러다 보니까 지금 수개월째 물도 못 마시고 먹지도 못하고, 그래서 기아 탈수로 목숨을 잃은 그런 채굴꾼이 벌써 100명이 넘는다고 하고, 아직 그 안에 남아있을 것으로 추정되는 채굴꾼이 한 500명 정도가 있을 것이다. 이런 얘기가 되겠습니다. Alright, let's have a look at this abandoned gold mine.
Yeah, so like we said, the companies have closed down the mines. So these mines were abandoned by the companies, and it means that they've been deserted, or they are no longer in use, or something has been cast off.
Abandoned gold mine, 우리말로는 폐금광이라고 하는데, 여기서 그 버려진, 더 이상 사용하지 않는, 이런 의미예요. abandoned라는 것은 abandoned. And the people have been forced out? Or the police
the
have tried
police
to
have
force
tried
them out.
to. Yeah. So if you try to force something out, it means to make something or someone leave a position or place, or to cause something to be ejected. So it can also mean you can force something out of someone, and it means to make someone reveal some sort of information, especially by threatening them.
그래요. 여기서 말하는 force라는 것은 강제로 뭐뭐 하게 하다, out, 강제로 나오게 하는 거죠. 그러니까 강제 퇴출 작전이라고 부를 수 있을 것 같아요.
Yeah.
남아공 당국에서 이렇게 작년 11월 정도부터 이 폐금광 안에 무단으로 들어간 채굴꾼들이 있다라는 것을 이제 파악하고 단속하면서 입구 막아버리고 모든 물과 식량 들어가지 못하게 하고요. 예, 그러다 보니까 이제 또 나오면은 뭐 구속이 되고 이러니까 또 버티고 안 나오는 거죠. 그 안에 있는 채굴꾼들은.
It seems like we're getting different, different words on that because they're saying, the police are saying that the miners were refusing to come out because they were afraid of getting arrested. But the group that represents them are saying that they were trapped underground because the police removed the ropes that they used to climb into and out
그렇게
of the
또
mine.
이야기가 다르군요.
Yep.
네, 이제 생존한 채굴꾼들 중에는 우리가 나오고 싶어도 나올 수도 없었다. 이거는 완전히 그냥 우리 보고 이 안에서 갇혀서 지내라는 거나 다름없는 그런 작전이다라고 호소하고 있기도 하답니다. 네, 당국에서는 그렇게 인정을 하지 않는 것 같지만, 자, force out가 그런 의미가 되겠습니다. 자, 다시 한번 제가 읽어볼게요. At least 100 men who were mining illegally in an abandoned gold mine in South Africa have died after being trapped deep underground for months while police tried to force them out, according to a group representing the miners.
Korea's employment growth slowed significantly in 2024 compared to the previous year, driven by declines in new hires in the manufacturing and retail sectors, as well as among young people, according to Statistics Korea.
지난해 국내 연간 취업자 수 증가폭이 제조업과 소매업 분야 및 청년층의 신규 고용 감소로 인해 1년 전보다 크게 둔화한 것으로 나타났습니다. So it says in the headline that the employment growth for 2024 declined. Tell us more.
Right. So the numbers declined, but they're up
They are up, yeah.
just as a number.
Yeah.
But overall, as I mentioned before, a little prematurely, but the pace of that overall growth is slowing down. And these numbers from 2024, we have the number of new hires increased by 159%, which is a 0.6% growth from a year earlier. But that is also lower than what government figures had forecasted.
그러니까 2024년에 취업자 수 증가 폭이 그 예년에 비해서 많이 줄어들었다. 이런 뜻이 되겠습니다. 증가는 했지만 그래서 얼만큼 증가를 했느냐? 작년에 15만 9천 명 정도가 더 취업을 했습니다. 그러나 그 전해에는 얼마나 많이 증가했었는지를 좀 보게 되면은 I believe the year before it was around double the number. 그 2배 정도 됐었죠.
Right.
30만 명 정도. 또 이제 보면은 사실 코로나 때문에 한때는 취업자 수가 뚝 떨어졌었다가 그 다음에 이제 많이 늘었다가 지금은 이제 조금씩만 늘고 있는 모습이네요.
I think that's the thing with anytime you have numbers, these sort of business or economic numbers, you have to really look beyond the headline. You can't just look at the headline and determine whether this is a good thing or a bad thing.
Right.
If you look a little bit deeper, like you're saying, after the COVID-19 pandemic, obviously, people who weren't employed, we could all go out now and the economy was moving again. So numbers shot up. There was a big surge. And then from there, we're sort of, I would say, tapering off. And that's why you see this slower pace of growth.
네. 2019년을 기준으로 우리가 많은 데이터를 보게 돼요. 이것도 역시 마찬가지인데 코로나 직전과 지금 얼마나 많이 달라졌는지 상황을 계속 확인하게 되죠. I mean, obviously, pre-COVID and post-COVID figures are very different. 그래서 2019년도 같은 경우에는 이제 항상 1년 전에 비해서 얼마나 취업자가 늘었는지 보게 되는데 30만 명 정도 늘었었고 그 다음 해는 21만 명. 그리고 21만 명 줄었습니다. 그 다음에 바로 이제 코로나 직후에는 그러다가
Right.
네, 36만 명 정도가 늘었고요. 또 그 다음 해에는 80만 명 이상이 늘었습니다. 그러니까 갑자기 또 팍 줄었다가 늘었다가 이게 아무래도 그 기저효과라고 하죠. The base effect라고 표현하기도 하는데 어떤 숫자를 가지고 비교를 하느냐에 따라서 증가폭이 많이 달라지기는 합니다만.
Right. Same with travel. I think we see our lives here
맞아요.
as before COVID and after COVID.
Exactly.
Obviously, when everything was at a standstill during our pandemic years, nothing was moving.
Yeah.
So people were not getting new jobs. After that, figures shot up.
Yeah.
And then now we see sort of a normalization, slowing down of numbers.
What about the sectors?
Oh, yes. If we want to break it down by sectors and, further by demographic, the construction sector shed 49,000 jobs in 2024. And this is the sharpest decline since this data started being compiled in 2013. This might have something to do deeper with kind of how the housing industry is here, the real estate industry. There's a lot of connected factors. Wholesale and the retail sector also lost about 61,000 jobs.
Yep.
And that's a losing streak that's going on for its seventh year.
By industry, 산업별로는 건설업의 취업자 수가 많이 줄었고요. 그다음에 wholesale and retail, 도매업, 그리고 소매업 또 역시 취업자 수가 많이 줄었습니다. Manufacturing, 제조업도 마찬가지였습니다.
Also, if you look at it by age groups, this is one of the more interesting sets of data from this story.
Yeah.
For people aged 60 and older, so older people, their jobs rose by 266,000 jobs, and that's the largest increase among all the age groups. In contrast, the number of jobs for young people, so aged 15 to 29, dropped by 124,000, and that points to issues we have here with youth and young people employment.
연령별로는 by age 아니면 by age group 60세 이상의 취업자 수는 많이 늘었고요. 20대와 40대는 줄었습니다. 또 아까 다시 그 산업별로 돌아갔을 때 우리가 줄어든 산업만 얘기했었는데 취업자가 늘어난 산업도 있어요. 보건업이라든지 사회복지 서비스업에는 취업자 수가 늘었습니다. All right, let's look at the word new hires.
New hires. In there we have hires, H-I-R-E-S. H-I-R-E, hire, is a word familiar to many of our listeners, I would think. And often it's used as a verb to hire somebody for a job, to use somebody for a job, to employ somebody as for a job. When we use it as a noun, you're talking about that person.
Yep.
So a new hire is a new employee, a new part-time worker, somebody that you've brought on to the job.
You could say a new recruit or a new employee, excuse me. 여기서 H-I-R-E, hire라는 게 명사로 쓰여가지고요. 채용된 사람이라는 의미인데요. 보통은 동사로 많이 쓰죠. 채용하다. 이렇게 hire. 그래서 new hires라는 거는 신규 채용자가 되겠고요. What about the expression as well as?
As well as. It's just another way to say and or in addition to.
Yeah.
So you have two things that you want to connect. As well as serves the same function as and, additionally.
I would like to have that sandwich as well as the salad.
Right.
Or, and the salad. Same thing.
Sure, you can
Yeah.
put anything on the on either side of as well as.
네, 그렇죠. 게다가 또한 자, 그럼 다시 한번 읽어보겠습니다. Korea's employment growth slowed significantly in 2024 compared to the previous year, driven by declines in new hires in the manufacturing and retail sectors, as well as among young people, according to Statistics Korea. Now let's move on to the next headline.
Indonesia has become the 10th full member of the international BRICS group of developing economies, as announced by Brazil, a founding member and the bloc's rotating president for 2025.
인도네시아가 신흥경제국 연합체를 표방하는 BRICS의 10번째 정회원국이 됐다고 BRICS 창립 회원국이자 올해 BRICS 의장국인 브라질이 발표했습니다. When we talk about BRICS, we're talking about BRICS. So Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa.
Right.
Those are the founding members, but there's now 10 members?
So I think Brazil, Russia, India and China started the group, started the bloc, BLOC, not BLOCK, but started this group in 2019. And I think South Africa was added the following year. But anyways, yes, they are considered the founding members. And then now, yes, the group is growing.
I think it was 2009.
Oh, excuse me.
That they founded. Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
my goodness.
I remember studying them when I was in grad school. It was way before 2019.
Forgive me. We have to rewind even more. Yes, I think I said 2019. 2009.
Yep.
And the bloc was created as a counterweight to be a strong influence against the group of 7 developed nations, which, of course, is the US, Canada, the UK, France, Germany, Italy, and Japan.
네, 그렇습니다. 자, 브릭스라 하면은 2009년에 원래는 BRIC까지만 있었던 이제 회원국들이에요. 브라질, 러시아, 인디아, 차이나. 그런데 1년 후에 사우스 아프리카까지 더해지면서 그래서 이제 본격적으로 브릭스가 됐고 개도국들의 모임이라고 생각하시면 될 것 같아요. 네, 그렇죠. 네. 그런데 그 2024년 작년에 대거 회원이 늘어났습니다.
Right.
이란, 이집트, 이티오피아, 그리고 UAE까지 해서 4개국이 추가가 됐어요. 그러니까 9개 나라였는데 지금 이제 인도네시아가 더해지면서 총 10개국이 됐습니다.
Their club is growing.
네, 클럽이스 맞아요. 그래서 지금 아까 G7 얘기를 하셨는데
Right.
우리가 보통 Group of Seven, G7 얘기를 하면은 이제 선진국들의 모임으로 알고 있죠. 얘기했던 미국, 캐나다, 영국, 프랑스, 독일, 이탈리아, 일본 요 나라들인데 그 이제 선진국의 모임이 있다면은 여기서는 이제 개발도상국들의 모임 어떻게 보면 좀 대응이 되는 그런
Definitely.
그룹이라고 볼 수 있을 것 같네요.
And it's symbolic too, right? So it's not just economic issues that they have a shared interest in, but it's sort of like, it's us, not us against them,
Right.
but it's sort of the US-led group of 7. And then we have BRICS here, which, as you mentioned, is growing and growing with new additions. And then, as this article talks about, Indonesia is the newest recruit,
Yeah.
newest member here. And it's quite a valuable add-on because Indonesia is the world's 4th most populous nation and also the biggest economy in all of Southeast Asia.
네,
so this is
그렇습니다.
quite valuable.
그런데 이 브릭스 멤버들이 작년 10월에 모였었습니다. 이제 매해 돌아가면서 브릭스 멤버들의 나라에서 회담을 갖게 됐는데 작년에는 러시아에서 회담을
Correct.
가졌었죠.
Right, hosted by Vladimir Putin.
그렇습니다. 그래서 거기서 나왔던 얘기 중에 하나가 우리끼리 미달러를 사용하지 않고 그 거래 무역을 하는 방법들도 한번 모색해보자 이런 얘기들이 나왔어요.
Right.
그러자 바로 다음 달에 당선이 됐던 미국 대통령 당선인 트럼프 대통령이 뭐 그렇게 한다 그러면 미국 달러 뭐 배제하고 브릭스 국가들끼리 이렇게 무역을 한다고 그러면은 나는 관세, tariff 굉장히 좋아하죠. 트럼프 대통령 당선인.
The tariff wars.
관세를 100% 부과하겠다. 이런 얘기를 하고 있어요. 근데 지금 며칠 후면은 취임하거든요.
Yes.
그래서 앞으로 좀
It's happening.
지켜봐야 될 그런 그룹이 되겠습니다.
It's happening. He is threatening tariffs on,
The BRICS countries.
not just the BRICS countries, but anyone I think that sort of
Europe and
sparks his ire.
Yeah.
But we'll see if this happens because tariffs, don't always work that way.
그래요?
Usually those costs are passed on to the consumer. But in any case, yes, this is, a very powerful bloc.
It is.
Because it is, roughly half the world's population. Even before Indonesia was added, with the countries there, we're talking about almost 50% of the world's population. So,
I mean, in terms of the population, you have India, China, which are the world's number one and number 2 countries in terms of
Right.
population there. And now, of course, Indonesia, the 4th populous nation in the world, is also a member. So very, very big indeed. Okay, so let's have a look at this expression here. Founding member.
founding member, yes. Founding member, in this expression, we have found, F-O-U-N-D. I should start by saying it's not the past tense of the verb to find. So this is a totally different word meaning to establish something,
Sure.
to start something, to start an organization, to build something, a group or an organization. So if you are a founding member, or you are one of the people that started an organization or a group.
That's right. founder라는 게 창립자, founding member, 창립 회원. 여기선 나라니까요. 창립 회원국이라고 해석을 하면 되겠네요. 여기서 말하는 BRICS에 해당되는 나라들이 창립 회원국으로 볼 수 있을 것 같아요. 그래서 이제 돌아가면서 회담을 그 각각의 나라가 의장국이 되면서 그 나라에서 개최하게 되거든요. 올해는 브라질에서 합니다. 리오데자네이로에서 7월 달에 브릭스 회담이 열리고요. 그러니까 올해의 의장국은 브라질인 거죠. Brazil is of course a founding member and the rotating president.
Right. So for 2025, Brazil is the rotating president. This is not a presidency that you get elected for or voted into, but you all go around, take turns. It's sort of like being student of the month in elementary school. You all get a turn at it. This year, it's going to be Brazil at the helm, and that's why they're also hosting the annual summit.
Yes, indeed. 자, rotating이라는 것은 회전한다, 돌아간다 이런 뜻이고 president는 뭐 회장, 대표 이런 거잖아요. 그러니까 여기서 브라질이 올해의 의장국이다. 작년에는 러시아였고 이렇게 돌아가면서 맞는 의장국이다 이런 의미가 되겠고 유엔에서도 Security Council이라든지
Right.
유엔 또 역시 그런 이제 돌아가면서 의장을 맡는 시스템이 있죠.
They take turns.
They do take turns. They rotate. 자, 그럼 다시 한번 제가 읽어보겠습니다. Indonesia has become the 10th full member of the international BRICS group of developing economies, as announced by Brazil, a founding member and the bloc's rotating president for 2025.
New York Governor Kathy Hochul has announced plans to collaborate with New York City over the next 6 months to boost police patrols on subway platforms and trains, focusing on all trains running from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m.
캐티 호컬 뉴욕 주지사는 향후 6개월간 뉴욕시와 협력해 지하철역 플랫폼과 열차에 경찰 순찰 인력을 늘리고 특히 오후 9시부터 다음날 오전 5시까지는 운행하는 모든 열차에 대한 순찰을 강화할 계획이라고 밝혔습니다. So there's been a lot of crime in these subways, right?
Right, right. If you've ever had the enjoyable experience of being on the New York subway system, let's just say it's not the Seoul metropolitan subway system, or many of the kind of shinier systems in Asia over here. It has a lot of problems, and crime is definitely one of them. And a lot of high-profile cases, I think, recently have brought this to the attention of the public.
작년 한 해에만 뉴욕 지하철에 500건 이상의 그런 범죄 사건들이 일어났다고 합니다. 너무나 사건들이 많이 일어나다 보니까 주지사가 이제 나서서 일단은 뭐 모든 그 칸마다 이런 경찰 인력이라든지 순찰 인력을 배치하겠다. 특히 밤에. 그리고 또 업그레이드가 필요한 거는 또 업그레이드를 하겠다라고 얘기를 했어요.
Right. So Governor Kathy Hochul's office released a press release, a statement saying that the state of New York is planning to station 750 NYPD officers across the subway stations and also on the platforms. And like you said, within each car, there will be a uniformed officer to just kind of monitor everything, make sure things stay under control. This is hard, as you know, unlike the Korean subway system, the New York subway system is 24/7. So it never closes, which means, you have a lot of crime that happens after hours.
Well, I've not had the privilege of using the New York subway system, but I have read a lot about it and watched scenes in movies and documentaries.
Right. And seen the rats.
And the
also,
rats.
which is
we had a story about those rats actually once.
It's a huge
They're
problem.
very big, I heard.
And they take the subway with you at times. So, this is all part of what Governor Kathy Hochul wants to clean up. And I think overall, I think she wants to sort of improve the image of the New York subway system, which many people, which many passengers might avoid or find scary. So she said, no one should be in fear when they're on their way to work or going out with their friends, taking the subway. And this is one of her solutions.
네. 자, 이렇게 범죄 예방 효과를 거두길 바랍니다. 표현 볼게요. To boost something.
Boost, B-O-O-S-T. Here it's used as a verb, but it is also used as a noun. To boost something is to support something, to increase something. As a physical motion, it feels like something is pushing you from behind.
그렇죠. 신장시키는 겁니다. 이렇게 북돋고 인상시키거나 높이 올라가게끔 하는 거. boost 한다고 하죠. 자, 그 다음에 뭘 부스트 하느냐? 여기선 police patrols입니다.
Patrol, P-A-T-R-O-L. When you patrol something, you watch something or you monitor something, usually to make sure that it is safe. So you might have a neighborhood patrol. If you have kids, there's a popular series called Paw Patrol.
Yeah.
It means that she wants to increase police patrol, increase the presence of police on the trains.
맞아요. police patrols는 경찰 순찰대를 얘기합니다. 그 인원을 늘리겠다는 뜻으로 boost police patrols. 다시 읽어볼게요. New York Governor Kathy Hochul has announced plans to collaborate with New York City over the next 6 months to boost police patrols on subway platforms and trains, focusing on all trains running from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. Okay, let's move on to the next headline.
A SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket has blared towards space, carrying a pair of lunar landers on a journey to the moon, kicking off what's expected to be a bustling year of lunar missions.
민간 우주기업의 달 착륙선 2대를 실은 스페이스X의 Falcon 9 로켓이 다수의 달 탐사 임무가 예정된 2025년에 출발을 알리며 어제 우주로 발사됐습니다. Alright, tell us more.
Headline 4 takes us out of this world. Like you say, the SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket launched to space on Wednesday. On the rocket, it was carrying 2 lunar landers, hailing from 2 different countries and for 2 different missions. The first is a lunar lander called Blue Ghost that was developed by a Texas-based company.
Yep.
And the other one is called Resilience, and that one was built out of Tokyo.
Exactly. Well, for the next month and a half, the Blue Ghost will be orbiting Earth, and then it will eventually go and land on the moon, where it will stay for, I believe, a couple of weeks. Is
Right.
it? Yeah.
Right. So they have different jobs when they're there. I think, like you say, that's what the Blue Ghost is going to do. And then the Tokyo-based one, Resilience, I think, will be on a different trajectory.
Okay. Let's have a look at the first expression, which is to blare towards something.
Blare toward. I don't think these 2 words are used as commonly together, except for in writing. But if you separate them, blare, B-L-A-R-E, this is a verb that means to be very loud, to be almost obnoxiously loud.
Yep.
So if you blare towards something, it sounds fine in writing. It means you're kind of going towards something very fast, loudly, flamboyantly.
I think of sirens on ambulances or
Firefighting
yes.
engines, yes.
The sirens are normally, blaring out, and you can hear it quite easily wherever you are.
Right.
It's very loud. 자, B-L-A-R-E, blare라는 거는요, 동사로서 아주 큰 소리로 우렁차게 울리다라는 뜻입니다. 그래서 지금 얘기한 것처럼 구급차의 사이렌 같은 것들이 이제 아주 큰 소리로 울리죠. 울려 퍼지죠. 그런 게 blaring인데 여기서는 지금 우주 탐사선 로켓 얘기를 하고 있어서 이게 발사된 거를 이렇게 묘사한 것 같고요.
Right. Because a rocket is going to be very loud and
그렇죠.
everyone's going to hear it.
네,
So
소리가 꽤 크겠죠.
you can imagine that it's blaring towards space.
That's right. So to make a large or a loud sound rather, that's what blaring is. And then toward something is going in a direction, to something?
In that direction.
In that direction.
Yes.
네, 뭔가를 향해서. 자, 그래서 어디를 향해 우렁차게 발사된 것을 여기서 묘사하고 있습니다. And what's expected to be?
What's expected to be? It's one expression altogether. What's expected to be? And this expression means something what you're looking forward to. What's scheduled or what's in store.
그러니까 이렇게 될 것으로 예상되는 이라는 표현입니다. This blaring towards space is expected to be the start of a bustling year of lunar missions.
Right. So if you're looking forward to something, it doesn't have to be a good thing or a bad thing, but whatever you expect in the future. Perhaps this Lunar New Year holiday is expected to be a busy travel season.
그렇죠. Be expected to be인데 그 앞에 what가 들어가서 what is expected to be라는 표현이 된 겁니다. 다시 읽어볼게요. A SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket has blared towards space carrying a pair of lunar landers on a journey to the moon, kicking off what is expected to be a bustling year of lunar missions. Now here's our final headline.
A newly discovered large sea-dwelling crustacean off the coast of Vietnam has been designated as a new species and named after the Star Wars character Darth Vader.
베트남 해안에서 발견된 대형 바다 갑각류가 이번에 새로운 종으로 등록되면서 영화 스타워즈 속 캐릭터인 다스 베이더에서 따온 학명이 붙여졌습니다. What is that name, first of all?
Darth Vader.
But the actual name that's been added to the creature, I believe, is
The scientific
the
name?
scientific name. Bathynomus.
I'll let you have a stab at it.
Bathynomus vaderi, I think it was.
Bathynomus videri?
It must be like Darth
like
Vader.
Darth Vader.
Yeah.
So Bathynomus
Vadery, I
Vadery
guess.
to do
I don't
the Darth Vader. Yes, this is obviously not something we would say in
know.
normal life.
맞아요. 학명을 우리가 보통 말하지는 않지만 그래도 다스 베이더의 이름을 따가지고 Bathynomus vaderi 이렇게 이름을 붙였답니다.
Is the name that scientists have given it. It's not a real, it's a name that they've given it. So yes, and this was found off the coast of Vietnam. It's a new species, so much as scientists know.
Yep.
It's been discovered, and it was named after the Star Wars character Darth Vader. The reasons were that, first of all, it resembles Darth Vader's mask. So if you go online and look at pictures of it, it really does look like Darth Vader.
I found it a little disgusting to look at. I'm sorry. but
Really? Because it was so big? It is quite large. Or was it too
It's just, I don't know.
scary?
It's too much of a close-up. I can see the resemblance with the face
With
and
the
the
mask.
eyes, yeah.
Right.
But then everything else is, it's a crustacean.
Right.
At the end of the day.
Yes, and also this Bathynomus vaderi, Darth Vader, this little guy or this big guy likes to live very deep in the ocean. So it's not up where we might be swimming. It's very, very deep in the ocean where it's always dark 24 hours a day, and that is part of why it was given this name of Darth Vader.
All right. Well, let's have a look at this expression here. Sea-dwelling crustacean.
Oh, that's a lot of syllables. Sea-dwelling crustacean. Let's break that up. The crustacean part, C-R-U-S-T-A-C-E-A-N. Crustacean is a creature that has a hard shell and usually lives in the sea.
Yeah, exactly.
Put simply, with terms that we are familiar with, we're talking lobsters, we're talking shrimp, and we're talking crab. All very delicious foods at the seafood station. To dwell, D-W-E-L-L, means to live or to reside. So if you put it all together, a sea-dwelling crustacean is one of these hard-shelled creatures that live in the ocean.
네, crustacean이 바로 갑각류가 되겠고요. crust라는 게 이렇게 그 겉에 있는 거잖아요. 우리 피자 먹을 때
The hard
그렇죠.
dough.
치즈 크러스트 이런 식으로 하면은 그 가장자리에다가 치즈 들어가고 뭐 고구마 크러스트 하면은 이제 고구마 들어가고 그런 것처럼 이제 겉에 있는 거예요. 그래서 이게 여기서는 껍질을 말하고 갑각류, 그러니까 crustacean입니다. 그 다음에는 sea dwelling. dwell, D-W-E-L-L. 이거는 어디서 살다라는 아주 격식 있는 문어체적인 표현인데요. live라는 뜻이에요. 그러나 sea living이라고 하지 않고 sea dwelling, crustacean이라고 말합니다.
Speaking of, Sue, you were saying that Darth Vader looks a little scary, that this creature looks a little scary.
The creature looks scary,
The
not
creature,
Darth Vader.
Oh, not Darth Vader,
Yeah,
but this creature looks a little scary. But we should say that in Vietnam, where this was discovered, it's actually now a very popular seafood delicacy. So many seafood restaurants in Vietnam are selling this, and a lot of the people there are enjoying it, saying it tastes just as good as lobster.
그러니까요. 사실 어민들 사이에서는 이미 몇 년 동안 이 크러스테이션, 이 갑각류를 잡아서 팔고 먹고 그동안 해왔대요. 그러면서 이름이 없으니까 그냥 바다벌레 이렇게 이름을 붙였답니다. 거기에.
Seabug.
네. 그러다가 이번에 공식 이름이 붙여진 거죠. 자, it's named after Darth Vader.
To be named after, N-A-M-E-D, named after something, is to be given the same name as something or somebody else.
Yep.
So you are named for something or you are named after something. You have received somebody else's or something else's name.
네, 그래요. 무엇을 따서 이름이 붙여지다. Be named after something. 다시 읽어보겠습니다. A newly discovered large sea-dwelling crustacean off the coast of Vietnam has been designated as a new species and named after the Star Wars character Darth Vader. All right. Well, those were our headlines.